on to Jay Brander. Oh, there she is. Thank you very much for coming. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thanks.
And I have you down for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're almost finished for the night. I just want to start by saying that when the whole ARC process started, I was sure that there was a strong financial basis for the board's option that they came up with to close Prince Philip. And I am all for decisions that are practical and logical. And I know that the ARC committee members are also practical, logical people, but they have not been convinced by the arguments that the board has come up with. Now I'll quote Gandhi, who said, "Truth needs no publicity other than itself." And that's something I really do believe in. So what were the issues identified at the beginning of the ARC when I first went to the meetings? We have empty schools, we have schools that need extensive renovations, and we have a dropping enrollment of students. So at the first meetings, I just assumed that we're going for 100% enrollment. But then as time went on, it became clear that that's not the goal. 100% enrollment in a school isn't really workable, and that the enrollment that exists right now is pretty good. That probably is what we were aiming for. The next thing was extensive renovations, and these are old buildings, and I know how expensive things are to renovate, and I know that a lot of money was spent on the boiler for George R. Allen. They've got a great heating system. I don't know, but I'm just going to assume that it was the original boiler that was replaced. So if this one lasts for 80 years or 85 years, that'd be great. I think it's a good investment. When I went on the tour, I have children at George R. Allen and at Dalewood, so I've been in the schools. Maybe the curtains are tattered in Dalewood. Maybe, you know, it could use a bit of paint, but those are good solid buildings, and I'd never been in Prince Philip. So I went on the tour thinking, wow, should I wear a hard hat? If the buildings are crumbling, you know, how's this gonna be? So it was interesting, very cute school, looked pretty good to me. And then when we got to the entranceway, that part of the tour, the person from the board who was along, one of the people said, oh, well, the things that need to be replaced are, the things that are part of the formula are things like the floor of the entranceway, which I'm pretty sure was probably laid down when the Queen looked like that. And the Queen still looks pretty good. She's turning 86 next year. She looks great. But the floor of the entranceway of Prince Philip, if you told me it had been put down 2 years ago, I would have bought that. It looks amazing. So it's back to that whole thing that's been brought up over and over and over. What are the renovations that are needed? Are the numbers that we're working with really accurate numbers? And then the third thing was decreasing enrollment of the schools. And maybe it's true, maybe the projections are true, and that everybody's in these two neighborhoods are just gonna get older and older and not have any more kids. But I know the only reason we moved to the neighborhood was for the school, because we have school-age kids. And my niece, who lives in Toronto, is having a great time, lived in the Plateau in Montreal for 5 years before that, having a great time, had her first baby in December. So in the fall before the baby was born, guess what she said? What's it like to live in Hamilton? So she wants to buy a house, and she wants to live in a great neighborhood for her kids. And she's come to see us, so she knows how good it is. So all that said, at that point in the ARC process, I was starting to feel kind of skeptical. So maybe there are great financial savings to be had by closing Prince Philip, and maybe there are not, even if it were revenue neutral. Yeah. I still think the decision that has to be made has to be based on a vision for the life that we want for our children and for ourselves. And we are completely dependent on you to make a good decision. I tell my kids every couple weeks, run upstairs. Not that they don't brush their teeth every day, they do. I say, run upstairs, brush your teeth. You could live till 90. You'll want those teeth to be in good shape. A lot of the kids who go to these schools will live to 90, and we want them to have a great childhood so that they'll be great people who'll be looking after us when we're looking like the Queen looks right now. So we leave it in your hands, and we hope that you make a really good decision that's practical, but that also has some vision behind it. Thanks.
see if we have any questions for clarification around the table at all. Not seeing any. Then I'm looking for a motion to receive. Thank you, Trustee Turkstra. Seconded by Trustee Hicks. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you so much for coming tonight.